Perfect. Thank you.
Enjoy. Share the screen. I think we have the wrong.
Okay. Thank you. Just a moment. Okay, I'll just leave it like this. Okay, thank you for having me here, and sorry for my absence. Yesterday I'm dealing with the aftermath of a really bad cold. So I'm going to talk today about artificial intuition and the burden of care. I'm more interested in the social part of technology and how the evolution of technology would influence the social dimension. So my main claims will be that the display or simulation, so I'm not interested in real intuition or human-like intuition, but in the display of something that feels for the human being that interacts with that system, like intuition. By AI systems might increase the level of anthropomorphism, fostering increased trust from human users. The second claim is that in the already existing context of frictionless communication made possible by the new media, individuals might be incentivized further to start using these systems in caring for their loved ones if their humanness increases. And that if used as an enhancer of human relationships with the promise of caring better for the others, these systems could fundamentally impact the way human individuals relate one to another. So anthropomorphism here I take it as defined as the degree to which an entity is perceived as human-like, as Jensen's defines it, and we have data that shows that it significantly impacts humans' trust in robots in these cases. But I think this could be this could be the case with chatbots and other types of technologies as well. Technologies vary in their perceived humanness, and based on the level of perceived humanness, human individuals develop trust in relation to them differently. So the type of trust humans attribute to a technology depends on how human-like that technology appears to be in an interaction. Now that this is not to say that human individuals do not trust systems that are not perceived as humans, but the criteria will be different. So the types of trust will be different. We would have benevolence or other concepts for more human trust, and efficiency or expertise for more system-like types of trust. Also, social presence theory posits that the attributes of a technology influence whether it is perceived as being more sociable, warm, and personal than other technologies, based on the extent to which it allows a user to experience other individuals as being psychologically present. And I think this is important for my later claims. So what do I mean by frictionless communication? Frictionless communication is a term used by Valor, and it refers to communicative acts that evade boredom, awkwardness, conflict, fear, and annoyance. One example used by this author is the 2013 Facebook home ad campaign, in which the users were promised that they would never have to suffer through another Christmas dinner with the uncle that keeps wanting to talk about politics, and a grandma that keeps asking if they want, when will they get married, and the mother keep asking about the job and stuff like that. So when an interaction, face-to-face interaction becomes awkward, or it could lead to conflict, or becomes awkward, Facebook at that through that ad campaign was promising that you could opt out of that and just ignore it. So your life will get better. Valor argues that we have seen this rise in frictionless communication with new media and the new technologies, because now more than ever it's easier to just log off, ignore, choose your bubble, your echo chamber, and just skip the conflict and the need for negotiation at a community level. So Valor says that technology has this promise of entertainment, education, and care for us and for those important to us. And this is the part that I am interested in. And I want to bring here another idea that this idea is not mine. It's an idea. It's a claim made by Muriel Lemberger. She talks about personal information technology. She uses personal information technology to talk about every type of technology that manages, stores, and handles our personal information, biological or not. It doesn't matter. So from feet app tracking to text messages to photos, everything that we use that is technology and that tells us or keeps stuff about ourselves for us to use or rewatch later is personal information technology. And I think that personal information technology is on the verge of being made relational. We already see this in we have apps, period apps that give you the option to share your information with your romantic or otherwise partners. So the partners or the friends or the family with whom you share this information know in which mood you are at that very moment, know how to care for you at that specific moment in the month, and so on. And I think this could be taken even further think about a friend app scenario. In a context in which we are really busy and we have all sort of we have relationships with significant others, but it's really hard to keep them or to solidify them. Think about an app that it's like this example, the period app, that tracks your information and alerts your friends when you are sad or when you are feeling down or when you might not have the greatest day of your week, or by contrast when you are having a really great week. So it kind of like I'm saying here extends the human intuition, but this is not really a good way of putting it. More like complements this type of intuition. So the burden of care of instead of you focusing on the little cues in these really close relationships and using intuitive knowledge to know when to push back or when to insist to having a conversation with your friend, or when to retreat and let them be, that could be complemented, augmented, or even totally um, inter totally superseded by this type of technology. We have an example from 2018. It's it's a piece in the news that tells us that Amazon's patented a technology that makes Alexa capable of monitoring users' emotions and of responding according to how they're feeling. So this is not to say that this technology exists and it will be shortly put into use for consumers, but that is a trend that they could cash on. In this way, human individuals could be incentivized to shift the burden of care to these types of apps and to intervene only when the app or when the technology alerts them that they need to intervene. Also, this is not only about the effort, so it's not I'm not being cynical here saying that we're not going to want to take care of our friends without apps, but it's also a promise here of better care. So we or humans could be human individuals could be convinced to trust these apps better than their own intuition, because they would be more objective, right? The problem, as Valor puts it, is not the technology alone, but the technology plus the lack of an appropriate virtue-inducing constraint, the rituals of the technology wise. Here, Valor uses a framework, virtue ethics framework. That's why she talks about virtue. So, of course, you may or may not agree that virtue is necessary when dealing with technology. But the important idea here is that it's not about the technology alone, but about how the context can put the technology to use in a way or another, and how that might affect relationships as a whole. If we accept that caring for another is a virtue, or that there exists a virtue of care, we have to accept that this type of connection for caring for another has to be made through some effort and negotiation of past and future experiences. That is not to say that we have to suffer like a martyr for while caring for the others, but that there is a threshold of effort that has to be met. Aside from this, autobiographical memory is transactive, meaning that it is socially distributed across the members of a group, and the individual uses interactive cueing to reconstruct past events. This process is not about finding the most truthful answer, although accuracy is valued, but also about reshaping the memory in a way it fits with the self-narrative of the people involved and with the narrative of the group. This final remark is more about the way, the third claim, the way in which relationships could be fundamentally changed through the mediation of technology. Because personal information technology is also about storing memories. So photos, videos, chats, and all that. Now, I do not have the space to expand on this claim, but like for the food for thought thing, think about how these bits of data that are really, really accurate would change human relationships, given that memory is transactive and that we negotiate a narrative, a relationship narrative, a group narrative, each time we see each other and we begin to retell the stories and the memories and all that stuff. So it shifts the focus from negotiation and emotional bonding to accuracy and to accuracy. Let's leave it like that. Okay, and this is my short presentation.
Thanks. I'm very short one because a couple of seconds.
Yes.
I think they can hear me if I say
Yeah.
So I really like the presentation because I really think you pointed out a lot of social things that might change when it comes to personal information technology. And I think we've been seeing in the news, I think recently there was an article in the New York Times where somebody was dating ChatGPT itself. And every time I think and I see these stories coming, I don't know, 2018 replica cases and whatnot, I'm always thinking that, these people are kind of learning to get into relationships. There's a lot of teenagers are ready to get into relationship with this type of AI agents, and that may change fundamentally the expectation for real relationship. And that was why I wanted you to elaborate more on this, because I think you pointed out really great that there is transactional between partners, between friends, between parents and children. And when you have this frictionless interaction, as you call them, I think it's quite dangerous, to say the least, in our interactions with technology. And I'd like you to emphasize more on this, because I think it's really important.
Yes, I totally agree. So my issue with AI agents at the moment, so they might evolve. But with them at the moment, like replicas, and ChatGPT used for as a significant other or as a friend or stuff like that, is that it doesn't actually negotiate with you in a way that a human being negotiates, because it doesn't have a stake in it. so when we have a relationship, we are friends, and we have to we talk about what we did 5 years ago. And you remember something, I remember something quite different, because that's memory, it's faulty, and we know that. The way we will negotiate a new scenario practically is based on our emotional bond and how much we compromise in this relationship, and what the dynamic of power is between us and stuff like that. Whereas in relation with I don't know, replica, it could go with accuracy all the way. No, it's not like, I mean, you're wrong. This is what happened. I have the receipts. Or it could go the other way of just giving in. And yes, you're right. You're the most intelligent, handsome friend I have, and you're perfect. I do not see how a true negotiation would work at this stage.
Yeah, I also have a question, given that you said, we cannot be a true friend. I also think that sometimes, like AI models as replica or whatever, being trained specifically to boost your confidence, to make you feel good, I think this also plays into this, AIs that they're also not built to be your friends. Necessarily, they are built to make money for somebody else, and their interest is to keep you as hooked in the app as possible.
Yes.
And it might not go like having the receipt. No, it wasn't like that. It was like that because you are so good. Because I am trained to say that you are so good.
Yes, that's an ethical issue, and that's really important. But even if it weren't for the who pays or who was the reason for that app existing, it still didn't reach that point of being like a real agent in a relationship.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Not Professor. I was meaning to ask something regarding the frictionless communication, first of all, and then how would you tie in the info about the apps that sort of track your period and share it with other people? Would you say that thinking of a system that sort of tracks your mood or whatever happens to you and sort of shares this information at large with your friends for them to sort of decide if they want to
interact with you or okay,
would it matter to whom this information is being sent, considering what you said about this relationships being negotiated and sort of built on trust and shared memory. So if you have, let's say, a group of 10 friends who all get sort of broadcasted that you have a bad day, and they're all like, oh, I'm going to send you memes and I hope you feel better. Is that real friendship in the end? Is it like
I mean, there isn't one type of friendship, right? So of course relationships will be weaker or stronger depending on your network of people and how they are arranged. But I think that it would impact differently the relationship if it's a strong relationship versus a weak relationship when sharing this type of information.
Could we think maybe of family? Because I think there's a lot of concern about caring for the elderly, right? The elderly are often lonely and lack a lot of social interaction because family and friends either die or do not have the time to spend it with them. Would some sort of system like this in which the elderly is able to send into the world that they're feeling sad or whatever they've had to eat that day, would it be helpful for them to feel less lonely in the case that.
I think actually that for those cases, this would be a great idea. So I have seen recently I have seen it recently on the vast internet this idea that when you have friends all over the world, or your group of friends is dispersed, and you don't get the chance to actually see each other face to face, and you have a group chat, you should send once a week like a video of what you did that week, so they could keep up with your life and stuff like that. So like so it's kind of like this idea, but done manually and only with the information you want and your experience, your subjective experience of it, because you recorded and stuff like that. But I think for rebonding families, or for keeping them together, especially when we have migration and socially or territorially dispersed people, that would be great.
Okay, thank you. This was a really interesting idea.
Thank you.
Any other in-person questions? No. Okay, we also have
So, yeah, I was thinking about friendly apps, not friend apps, and I think they might be morally problematic. So if you have an app that can mimic, will care towards you, and that becomes something like a friend of yours, that could raise some, well, morally problematic things like, well, the chances of getting persuaded of, let's say, racist beliefs in case, well, that app is, let's say, infested, things like that might be higher. So I think it's problematic, and maybe some moral psychology studies should be done on whether and to what extent feeling that you that someone cares about you increases the chances of being more easily persuaded by that person. Might be problematic.
Yeah, I totally agree. So my first instinct is to give the warning for this. I'm not saying that technology couldn't be like a good thing in some ways, but yes, I totally agree with you. First of all, I'm seeing the warnings here, but I also anticipate that with our warnings or without our warnings, this might be a trend in the future. Because we're not the guys with the money. And yes, I totally agree that we should have more studies in this in this area to see how negotiation and how persuasion works in these types of relationships. Thank you.
I think we also have a question online.
And then also.
Oh,
Get on the line and then.
okay, so we have a raised hand from Yuan Muntan.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you. Okay. Hi, thanks. That was an interesting talk, and I learned a couple of things which I didn't know, but I was when you started to talk about trust, I started to think about how this word trust can be extended from trust into humans, and you talk about friends, or offline or online or in real life. But the main question here is how do you trust a technology like LLM, let's say? How do we trust a technology? Do we trust it based on people who develop them? Do we trust them based on the science behind it? And in that sense, trusting a technology should be, it's much more, let's say, elusive concept, less robust than trusting a person. And of course, you can think about trusting institutions, trusting a company like Meta or Facebook. I don't know if this is relevant to your talk, if trust should be, let's say, trust 1, trust 2, to cover different type of trust, yes? Because trusting a person means you have a personhood behind it. Trusting a technology will be the company, the institution, the science behind it. Yes, I trust, let's say, a wearable or a watch that I don't have one, but can imagine, because there is a science of blood pressure, science of number of steps I take, some science of my, let's say, reading of my EKG, if you have that kind of application. There are different types of readings of the brain activity. So there is a science behind it. Whereas, you know, LLM, they have a different type of science. I don't know if that's important. Different.
No, thank you. That is important. So I didn't have the time to go through this the different types of trust, because yes, there are different types of trust. And what interested me was the type of trust that you would usually or something like the type of trust you would usually give a human person, and how that would be given to a chatbot, for example. Langton has this experiment in which, and it's not only this author, but I'm going to give this example. When a technology is more human-like, in interacting with that technology, human individuals in time will be will give some type of trust that's very similar to a trust you would give a human person. It depends on the perceived humanness. Now, of course, all these types of trust that you mentioned should be taken into consideration. But for now, I was interested in the relationship that you would build with, I don't know, replica or an avatar or a chatbot, and that would kind of not ignore, but put the other stuff in the background, like who owns the company, what it's based on, and people tend to form bonds with the replicas, for example, not thinking about or just putting it in the background that it's a company and it makes money, for example. But yes, it's really important, and it should be taken into consideration. This is just like a really superficial view of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Would interaction with grief bots get to count as frictionless LLM interaction? Because it seems to be the case that the agent will not be opting out of the burden of care, but instead would actually try to do the opposite.
Yes, I think it will depend on how that bot is made, because I was reading at some point this ad for a grief bot that you would make anticipating your death. So you would make it yes, based on your personality, they kind of guaranteed that your loved ones could not just change stuff about yourself. So if you are really argumentative or really irritable as a person, and they cannot change that after your death, I don't think it would be that frictionless. I don't know. Maybe if you just turn it off at that point and just turn it on again.
But then again, that's the question, can you actually turn it off? I mean, it's like a bot or it's like a.
Yes.
An extension of the, that person. Something.
Yes, and I think exactly for this reason, it matters the case. So you have to look at the case, how it's made, how it's yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? No. I think we can close the recording now. Thank you for the
Thank you very
interesting
much.
talk.
Okay.